All right, guys. One more time. And today, joining us for his 2025 GM Barb manager interview. I just said that twice. is, is the OG Mr. Scott Hatfield from the St. Francis, Kansas. Welcome, Scott.
Glad to be here.
And of course, Mr. Anthony King for the Commissioner's Corner to take us on for the three-part interview here. So we'll kick it off there, Scott, by looking at where you ended up last year, 2024, in our division. We ended up tied, right?
That's right.
We ended up tied, which is something that happens rare. And so you could say you ended up in third place or tied for fourth or tied for third. But I personally feel like when you go through a natural disaster with somebody, somehow your bond gets stronger.
Okay. Well,
You
we did
might feel different.
we did end up in a tie, and your franchise prevailed in a single game matchup, and that's just kind of the way the cookie crumbled.
Yes, sir.
If you asked me if I was disappointed about my season, I was not. I began the year by saying, first of all, I had not made the playoffs the previous year. And yeah, I had a big run of bad lucks there, so there was a lot of misfortune, and I think there's an interesting parallel between both of our teams, and the parallel is that both of us tried to build up lots and lots of pitching depth to weather this season because it was starting to become clear that the rate of injuries to players, but especially the pitchers in Major League Baseball, was going to make it very, very difficult for anyone to contend without more pitching depth than we might have assumed in the past. In the past, I might have said, oh, if I got seven starters, I'm probably good. Make a deal in the middle of the year to get one more arm if necessary, but seven would do it. And now, I thought the last couple of years, I don't think that. You and I took very different paths to get there. You made a lot of moves early on to acquire a frontline starting pitching, and you acquired more starting pitching during the year. And to do that, you did something that I couldn't afford to do. You had a bigger stockpile of prospects, and you cashed in a lot of your prospects to put that together. And you made a run, and my hats off to you. You did prevail and get into the playoffs, and certainly you were a good team. My path was different. What I did was I deliberately signed pitchers who were injured, and attempted to hope that I would get some of them back in time, that I would be able to squeeze out a playoff spot and then maybe in a short series prevail. I mean, I had no illusions. I was never going to be a 100 win team. I forget how many games I won, but it was in the mid 90s, which was probably higher than you would have expected. I had some luck, but I also was using a different strategy than other owners were, where I was relying a lot more heavily on defense than I'd ever before had. And as the year went on, I became more and more comfortable with that strategy. I became more and more comfortable. Um, that being said, it could have easily worked out to me that I would have only had wins in the mid 80s, um, because the way the schedule worked out, I played a much weaker schedule in the last 6 weeks of the season as opposed to early on. Early on, when I didn't have Degrom and I didn't have a lot of other arms appearing for me, it was very obvious that I was short in the pitch, waiting for those injured arms. It just didn't come quite soon enough. I think if DeGrom had come off a week and a half earlier in the major leagues, I think I might have won that division outright. But it didn't happen, so I couldn't use him as much as I wanted to. And so in the last minute, it's the push just to get in. You know, in retrospect, maybe I should have started DeGrom on sharp or short rest. But when you have to start second guessing yourself about things like that, you really weren't a great team. You were a team that was in a position to win, but was getting a lot of help from luck. So that's how I see my season last year. I wasn't disappointed in it. It was an interesting strategy, and I'm not abandoning my commitment to defense. I feel like it serves me well, and a lot of the best players I had last year, I'm bringing back precisely because they help me even when they're not hitting. So that's how I
Yeah.
see it last year, and that's my general outlook for this year.
Yeah. And for those that are watching for the first time, or as a reminder for those that will watch in the future, last year, and MLB was the first year that introduced the pitch clock. And it became where we had started the whole F and pitch clock on this score. All the injuries that started coming up and just left and right, we saw the whole
Right.
year long. So that was
Well,
that was a big part of it.
yeah, but I would say one thing about the pitch clock. A lot of us took it as a negative because a lot of the players were complaining about it. But one of the
Mm.
great things about the pitch clock is that not only did it shorten the games, but it really allowed pitchers who had good command to kind of get a little bit of their own back. They were able to work more effectively in that environment than people, who were just in a hurry to throw the ball. Um, and so you saw a clear split, and you see continued value for pitchers who maybe are not striking out 10 guys per 9 innings. But it's good, and um, I, I feel like there's maybe unexplored value there in our league. We'll have to see what happens. We're still in an arms race. It's still power versus power arms striking out, and power bats trying to get launch angle. But we'll see what happens.
Burnt it on the wall. With that, I'll pass it on to Anthony in the commissioner's corner to take you on to part deuce.
Okay.
All righty. So obviously, as you know, usually with what we do with the interviews for the commissioner's corner is I ask you, how do you feel about your team this year, and then if you want to pick who you consider to be like a favorite for front runner type of situation,
Yeah.
and then who would you consider to be your dark horse for this?
Okay. All right. I'm looking right now. I feel like that if I don't have an unusually high amount of injuries, then I feel comfortable predicting that I'm a 92, 93 win team right now, and I'm going to have to try to improve to be better. But I feel like about 92, 93 wins, and that means once again I'll have a shot at a playoff spot. But I would not be so bold as to guarantee a playoff spot, even with great health, because I don't think my talent level is there yet. I'm dragging my feet on committing to a true rebuild. So we'll see what happens. I mean, Luis, it's interesting to me. I mean, you finished ahead of me, you got in the playoffs, but basically we had the same record. And instead of trying to hold on to all your starting pitching, you're basically kind of saying, well, I'm going to wheel and deal and start restocking my system with younger talent. So it's kind of funny, right? Because you're going to draft ahead of me, and you've already gained extra picks. Good for you. And meanwhile, I'm drafting 10th. I'm drafting behind teams that I beat them out by 4 or 5 games to turn a 1-loss record. But here I am. So, oh well, it's another challenge for the old man, I guess. So that's my outlook for my team going myself. Now, as far as picking a favorite right now, I'm hard pressed to pick a favorite, because the teams that have good offenses and a certain amount of rotation depth. I went and compared all the rotations. In the past, there's been more of a gap between the teams that had really exceptional rotations and those. And I think there's less of a gap now. I don't look at any particular team, with the possible exception of the Wildcats, saying there's a clear gap between them and everybody else. I think if Yuma has absolutely no injuries, they could be a team that they lap the field in terms of what they get from their starting staff. But is that really likely? Probably not. I don't see any team as having an absolutely dominant pitching staff in the first half. I just don't. So it's hard pressed for me to pick somebody who I would say right now at this John, because we all have at least some bats. A defense and speed might be the thing that it proves to be the edge factor this year. It might well be. Well, and if I'm betting on my team's defense, and defense turns out to be more important this year than in the past, then that could augur well for me. But I don't know. It's hard for me to pick a favorite. If you ask me to throw a dart at the board and pick somebody as a favorite, well, I'd probably go with the 2-time defending champions. But it's not to me like going for a 3-peat. But I'm not saying it's automatic. So they'll have challenges. As far as the dark horse, I'm very happy to say that I believe the Dothan Crackers are going to be a plus 500 team. I would not be the least bit surprised if they are in the low 90s. They have excellent draft position, and they've been biding their time. And we talk frequently, and I'm bullish on his chances of making a playoff spot, just not at my expense. But I'm,
Well,
but I, but
you
that's my dark horse.
you
There you
gave a
go.
hint on good D and drugs being a key, right?
Well,
That's gonna be fun.
speaking of drugs, as you know, my past few draft experiences, my past few draft days have been, shall we say, if not substance enhanced, at least they've been substance influenced. So I want you to know there will be no excessive consumption of beer by myself at this next draft. There will be no extra bottles of wine. In fact, there will be. I don't think I'm going to bring a bottle of wine this time. No wine. I'm going to try to take a more sober and more advanced approach to the draft, which is why I'm investing in Don't Stop the Rum, 200 rum-based cocktails, um, just to bring the flavor of the tropics.
So that means you are gonna have pina in there. You're gonna have pina.
I will have
Huevos del
pina. I
pina.
will have pina colada. That's correct. Okay, and
Pina
I
and
am
rum.
well. I'm hiring Coco Crisp as a base running specialist. That you know now that to me I think is just a huge upgrade. In fact, I may bring my mixology kit. I may show up with a fully stocked bar and make a cocktail for customized cocktail with the grease on hand for anyone who
Oh,
appreciates
man.
liquid libation. I'm your man, while having hopefully an exceptional draft. Thing.
If you drive over there,
To dealing my number one today, Luis, but it didn't happen. I was too busy with my wife looking at a $4,000 coffee machine.
my
Has Anthony already told you what happened?
no.
Then I won't share it because that's like talking out of turn. But I came this close, and I just didn't pull the trigger. My own fault. But tonight I will be practicing pulling the trigger with Don't Stop the Rum, 200 rum-based recipes. Retirement from me from my actual gig of being a science teacher close, and so 77 more teaching days. Not that I'm counting, damn it. And I'm happy to tell you that I'm practicing right now.
As long as you don't show up to James's house with your mixology kit and you drive up in a beat up old RV, because then they're gonna think something else.
No. I'm not skimping on money this year because I've got some new strategies on how to manage money.
We heard it. Get D and drugs.
Yeah, that's right. Well, but I have two other strategies. For example, I feel that we should allow Brownsville to rename their team and claim a special dispensation. I propose that Mr. Brown renames his club the Dodge City Deferrals. Because with Ohtani and Harper and Judge on the same roster, my goodness. I mean, he's really tried to trim his salary down. He's still sitting right now at 250, not sure what to do. You know, he just doesn't have a lot of leeway. Because he knows he's going to have to pay full freight for all three of those guys, or at least he thinks so. So
yeah,
he could use a break. And I too would like to see, who among us would not wish to have Kyle Schwarber, but defer 15 of that $20 million to, I don't know, 35. You know what 2035 will be? 73 in 2035, and I'll be happy to pay Kyle Schwarber's time at that time if I can just have him for $2 on my roster now.
Lordy.
Yeah. Now that's the good side of the financial picture for the league. The bad side is represented by a team that, I think are they still planning to go as the Zimbabwe Zebras?
Yeah.
Well, I feel they should rename themselves the Texas Tariffs. There needs to be a tariff on Zimbabwe, specifically Juan Soto. Juan Soto is a foreigner who's taken baseball jobs away from the David Fletchers and those guys are getting a lot more bats.
Oh man!
Someone just has to pay this guy from another country $1 billion, and so I'm just outraged. And when the spirit of times, we should just do it. And any ball player who's not a U.S. citizen who does not have an OPS of 700, I say send them back to where they came from, or at least AAA. Because Because it's an outrage, I tell you, an outrage. I'm
Look,
just
you're already gonna get Yuma Firebirds worried about it being able to hang on to Ivan Herrera now. So
Ivan Herrera. Okay,
since he's from Panama.
someone needs to contact the Department of Labor about the Yuma Firebirds' exploitive use of minor league players from other countries. I mean,
Oh my God.
we know they're not terrorists. We know that they're not
Well,
affiliated with Al Qaeda.
the teams he plays against might feel a little different. So
Maybe so, but
yeah.
well, if I had a scouting staff that could, use drones from the sky and assassinate anybody who's about to execute a perfect two-strike pitch, I would do that too.
Well,
Anyway.
let's keep the minors in mind, because here comes your secret question.
All righty.
So you are an athlete, a baseball player, and you decide if you're a pitcher or a fielder is up to you. But you get drafted by your favorite baseball team, San Diego Padres, right?
Sure.
And you develop with them, you do well with them, and now you got to come up with your nickname. What would your nickname be as a professional athlete? As a professional baseball, you're a pitcher or a fielder is up to you. That's part one.
Okay. Well, let's pretend at this stage of the game that I'm a center fielder. And and a nickname?
What would you call yourself?
The Golden Eagle.
Golden Eagle. Holy
the
shit.
Golden Eagle.
Why is that? Nacho Libre reference or what?
Well, just because as a Padre fan, I would have gold as part of, I would do like, that Ronald Acuna thing, that no matter what color the Padres decided to have their lame ass uniforms that year, I would just have gigantic gold and little bands and, gold here and gold there everywhere and be the Golden Eagle. And then I would tell everyone I'm the Padres' answer to Tris Speaker, the Golden Eagle.
I was going to say, not the bald eagle, right? Like, just saying.
Oh, no, it's not. What I call myself is not going to be, let's be honest. My teammates are going to call me Chromie.
Chromie?
Yeah. I will not be allowed to take off my hat during night games because the left fielder and a right fielder will struggle from the glare. So if they're going to want me to play, they're going to want me to put eye black on the top, on the bottom, on the sides, on my ears, everywhere. Yeah.
Shoot.
But to me, I'm the Golden Eagle.
The Golden Eagle.
That's
so now
right.
here's the scenario for you from the Golden Eagle. The Golden Eagle is about to hit free agency, so the Padres are going to trade him.
Yeah, of course they are.
Where would you want to be traded to? What team? What other MLB team would you want to be traded to? You're a center fielder, and it could be your prerogative or there's a need. What would come to mind? What team?
I have 10 grandkids. And so I would want to be traded to the Miami Marlins because, first of all, they're a terrible team, and I'll be their fucking star. Obviously, I mean, me and Otto Lopez. I have a foot on Otto Lopez. You put me next to him in a spring training picture, okay? That motherfucker's in my armpit. So I don't have to worry about anyone. Some of those pitchers are tall, but let's get real, they're all hurt. So, and I'll be on the Miami Marlins, and even though I won't be that good, I'll be like Jimmy James is playing for the Atlanta Braves. Back when the Braves were terrible, they would just make a big deal about some guy who'd just been up from the minors and had a hot 2 weeks. They would act like, this is our new star, right? And that could be. The real reason is that by being in the Miami Marlins, I'd be close to Orlando, and every time the grandkids visit, they wouldn't be and Grandpa playing on the ball. They'd say, "Come on, Grandpa. No, I wasn't an athlete anymore. We just play video games." And so, Disneyland, Universal City Studios. That'd be the perfect thing. That'd be a perfect thing for me to finish out my career in the twilight of my career. I finish it out.
Okay.
On a bad night, I'll just call Domino's and I'll order a couple of pizzas and I'll feed everybody in the ballpark.
Man, you're gonna be Mr. The Caucasian version of Julio Franco, basically.
If Jack McKeon can go there and they treat him like he's a god, I could do all right. I can do all right with the Marlins fans, all 5,000 of them. It'd be great.
Shoot.
Never have less fans been more devoted to 2-time World Series champions.
At least they got a championship, unlike us.
Yeah, unlike us, absolutely right.
Yeah.
Where do
So,
old
guys,
Padres go to die?
make sure you, if you do come up with another nickname for the Golden Eagle, put it out there on either in comments or on Discord once you take a listen to the video. But
Okay,
Scott,
very, very good.
thank you, Anthony. Also, likewise, have a great one, guys.
Thank
Till
you,
until
and
next one.
don't stop the rum.
Till you get enough. Till you get enough. Thank you, guys. See you later.